would go over that last exercise that from last week. Remember this right here, this one right here, where, oh, you can't see anything, can you? Sorry. Okay, so see how, let me see. There we go. Okay, so you can't tell right now because it's on green and there are a lot of greens, but wait a second. Let's see. Oh, there you go. So at every second, the color is changing. So you've got the full spectrum of colors goes from red back to red again. And the values for that are 0 to 360. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. If you think about color pickers that you've seen where the hues are organized into a circle, and you drag around inside a circle to choose your hue. That's a circle, it's 360 degrees. So that's kind of how we think about the color wheel. That's how we think about colors. So it makes sense that it would be 0 to 360 instead of 0 to 255. So what we want to do is map the seconds to the hue value. So remember that if we're in RGB mode, it takes 3 numbers for a color, right? The red, the green, and the blue. And white would be 255, 255, 255, black would be 0, 0, 0. If you change it to HSV mode, remember HSV stands for hue, saturation, brightness, or balance. The first number is the hue, which is the actual color, which is easier to cycle through versus RGB. Then the second number is saturation, and the third number is brightness. So we're just going to set saturation and brightness to 100, the max. Just leave those alone. We're just going to focus on changing the hue of the color over time. Okay. So what we're going to be doing here is this is sort of a diagram of the map function. So remember, the first value is the number that you want to be calculated, the number that you're trying to map. And the second two is the range that you're getting. And the third two, the first range, and then the second range is the range that you want to get. So right now, the numbers that we're getting, if we console the second, we would get 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 59. Okay. We can't just use that number because these colors go all the way to 360. Otherwise, it would just go red to like a little bit of orange and then back to red again. It's not going to go through all of the colors to 360. So we need to change that range of numbers to be 0 to 360. So we're going to be mapping the seconds. This is the number that we want to be adjusted. Here we're going to say 0 to 59 because that's what we're getting right now from the seconds, 0 to 59. And here we're going to say change that to 0 to 360. So let's do that. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is just console it so we can see. Let you. So console.log. Now we're just going to look at the seconds. Okay, so we're getting, those are the numbers we're getting, and it gets to 59, and then it goes back to 0. So that's the range that we're getting. What we want is 0 to 360. So we're going to do this. We're going to say Q equals map. We want to adjust the seconds. We're getting 0 to 59. We want 0 to 360. So now let's just take a look at Q. Now that's much better. Those numbers, that makes more sense. So it's going to go up to, that's 292, 298, 305, 311. It's going to go up to 360 and then back to 0. That's the range of numbers we want to get so that we can cycle through all of the keys. Okay. So we're getting the right numbers. That's great. Yeah.
Are there any difference with like putting like width instead of 360?
Well,
With online.
I mean, you have to think about like what do you want to happen. So width would make more sense if we were measuring where the mouse is. In this case, we don't really care about the width. We only care about the background color. So in other cases, the width would matter. Like when we did the circle going across the screen, the width mattered there because we wanted it to get to the end of the side of the screen. But in this case, we're not really doing that. All we care about is the background color. So we wouldn't use width in this case. But a lot of times you do, you know, depending on what you want to be adjusted. So, okay. So now the question is, we have this number that is giving us this variable Q is giving us the numbers that we want. Now we have to ask ourselves, where do we put that variable? What do we want to happen? What do we want to be changing? And the answer to that is inside of the HSV, remember the first value is the Q, and then saturation and the brightness. It's the Q we want to be changing, right? So that's where we would put that variable. So I'm going to make another variable called background. And I'm going to say BG equals color. Remember, we're using the color variable here. And inside of here is where we give it those three values, H, S, and V. The first one is the one we want to be constantly adjusting, right? We're getting 0 to 360. That's where we want to put the variable. So color would be Q, and then we'll leave the others just at their max. All right. Oh, I need to start these with the value. Otherwise, I'm going to get an error because it's using, oh, I got to put BG inside of here. It's using BG before I've actually assigned BG. So I have to start it at something. So I'm going to say 0, Okay. Wait, why am I getting grayscale? Oh, I never changed the color mode. So it's just going through the red channel right now because I'm in RGB. So I need to change it to HSB. There. Now it's cycling through. And you can see the seconds up there. So as soon as it gets to 59, it's going to be red. So it starts at red and then it ends at red. This is starting to make some sense a little bit. It takes practice, like I said. I'll do more examples if we need to. I'm going to change gears right now, and we're going to go back to transforms. Remember we did rotate and translate, where we moved the 0, 0 to somewhere else on the screen, and then we rotated and drew something. I'm going to show you another part of that process. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to when we remember you made a line and then you rotated it on the curve. The first thing we had to do was translate the 0, 0 to the middle of the screen. So I'm going to do that first. Oops. Okay, we don't see anything yet because we haven't drawn anything. But now if I draw a rectangle at 0, 0, 100, 100. Okay, so now you can see that the 0, 0 point is now in the middle because I've translated it. I told it to go over half and then go down half. And now the 0, 0 is right there. So let's say this is all fine and good. Okay, oh, let me, but let's say after this, we wanted it, we drew something, and now we wanted it to go back to the normal 0, 0. We can reset our transforms using what's called push and pop. So actually, let me show you a better way to do this. Okay, I've got to change, I'm going to rotate here. So I'm going to change angle mode to degrees because I don't want to use radians. And I'm going to say rotate 45 degrees. Okay, so now it's been rotated 45 degrees around that axis. So let's say after I've rotated something, now I want to draw something normal. I don't want it to be rotated anymore. I want to go back to normal. And this is a very likely scenario, especially if you're making a clock. You want to rotate, let's say that you have a second hand and minute hand. You want to rotate the second hand, but then you want to go back to the first part before you rotate the minute hand because they need to be rotated individually.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use push and pop. So push, when you put push before a few transforms, it means, okay, record the state of the transforms, right? The state of the transforms right now. So the only transform that's happened before push has been the translate. And then you sort of, push is gonna record this, the state that it's at right there. And then when you say pop, it sets it back to where it was when you said push. So I translated, and then I said push. So it's gonna remember all of the stuff before it. And then it's gonna do this, it's gonna rotate. And then I say pop, and whatever's in between these two gets thrown out and it goes back to where it was before. So now if I draw a rectangle, the rotate isn't going to. There we go. It goes back to where it was before. Does that make sense? Yeah. And you can put as many in here. I could translate it again. Let's say I put a translate in here. And I'll move it over another 100 by 100. And it, this one right here goes right back to the middle again, because this translate is in between push and pop. It takes a little getting used to, but just remember, it's like push is recording what the transforms are at that moment, and pop is setting them back to that previous setting. And you can have push and pop inside of push and pop, inside of push and pops, going back and forth and whatnot. The reason it's called push and pop is in programming, there's this idea of a stack where you have certain states sort of stacked onto each other. So think of it as you're taking the settings and you're pushing them onto a pile of other settings. And then when you pop it, you're popping it back off again and putting it back into service. So that's push and pop. So let's do a little exercise with push and pop. We'll publish these. So right here, draw these squares using push and pop. So the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to set it to, it's going to be a lot easier if you set it to rect mode center, so you can go straight to the middle. So the first thing you need to do is translate to the middle and draw a square. And then in order to get back to that for the third square, you're going to need to push that setting, then rotate and draw another square, and then pop it back again to draw the third square. Does that make sense? So it's translate, push, rotate, draw, pop, draw, kind of in that order.
Everything here, push, pop. Good. And then rotate it again. Yeah. Oh, because the second one, you need to rotate it and then draw here two. Okay, right here. This isn't really doing anything because nothing is drawn inside of there. So here you're just drawing, rotating, and then you're drawing some more. Draw, push, rotate, draw, pop. That makes sense? So what I want to do is this is the regular setting. So if you say push right here, then it's going to record the regular setting. Then we rotate, then we drop, and then the top right here, and set it back. The top right there, set it back to where it was. Inside of positive. No, just straight up positive. Yeah, same thing. It's just a function. There you go. Yeah. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. You gotta do that. First now is the cursor right here. So first thing is that. When it is there, and then all you do is right here, right now it's rotating on that axis. That's why we translate. Yeah. So. There we go. Yeah, you got it. What I would like during class is if you finish this, you wouldn't mind like getting up and seeing if there's someone else you can help. Teamwork. Like we're gonna help each other out with this. So if someone's struggling, if you need help, someone who's got it done already can come in and help explain it. Oh, you translated twice. I mean, I was doing that just to show an example, but you don't need to translate twice. It's down here. You just want it. You only need to translate one, two squares. No, you can just get rid of that whole thing. You don't need to translate twice. You already translated once up here. So yeah, just get rid of that. There you go. So that's a push in the right place. So now, now you want to get rid of the rotate. So that's where you would pop. Because everything between push and pop is injected. Get rid of it. And it goes back to where it was before push. So that's where you can put pop right there. So it's going to go back to just plain old translate the type and so rotate now. And then now, if you draw another square, it won't be rotated because you got rid of rotate. Yeah. And then you just kind of do kind of out of order here. Because the one you're supposed to draw the straight one first and then rotate and then draw another straight one. So you want to draw the first straight one, you just put it underneath the translate, but you're just going to draw a straight one first. That sounds like it. Go ahead and yeah, so this one's just the wrong side, so it's drawing on top. It's just probably more. See how I'm smaller? You should be able to see. There you go. Got it. Because they're all done in the middle, so we don't need to. I was just doing it as an example. Yeah. So okay, so that's the right here. We need to put that in the middle. So now the all these registers they're all done. Oh, 100%. So now it's just a matter of you got this right. Yeah, you're drawing the first one, then you're rotating it, and you're copying so it goes back to the regular space. Now it's just a matter of drawing the third rest of it, but it's just a smaller. Okay, cool. You guys did good with this. That's awesome. Okay. You ready to go back to mapping? No. You don't do math anymore, do you? So now we're going to combine like what we did before, mapping the seconds to rotation. It's going to be similar to what we did with the hue.
So we want we're gonna make a second pen that is gonna tick around in the circle. It goes all the way around the circle in 1 minute. So, so the nice thing is it's similar to the humans in that it's 0 to 360, right? There's 360 degrees around the circle. So we just need to map the seconds to 360 and then just put them in, put it in the right spot to rotate 360. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to say, let second hand. Oh, I didn't practice this one, so I'm going to totally mess up this demo, I bet. Let second hand and equals map second, and we're getting the seconds are 0 to 59, and we want to get 0 to 360, or maybe it's 359. I'm not really sure. It's probably 359, but that's fine. And then let's just console.log and great, we're getting numbers from 0 to 360. So the first thing you want to do is we need to draw a line, and that line is what we're going to be rotating. So we're going to say translate width to height by 2, and then we're going to draw a line starting at 0, 0, going from 0 to 200. Okay, so we've got a line. It's starting at the bottom. We can change that by adding the 180 or 270. I get confused. So now you got to ask yourself, we've got this variable right here that has exactly the degrees we want it to go. Where do you put that variable to get it to rotate at those degrees? Okay, so you have to think about, what do you want to happen? Where does that number need to go in order for you to rotate that at those degrees? Okay, I'll let you figure that out.
Right, so how do you rotate? I want it to rotate, right? So what do you type? Yeah. Exactly. Or the line. Or the line, Now, the question is, what do you tell it, how much do you tell it? You just give it a number, it's just gonna rotate to that number. What do you want to happen? You want it constantly change, right? No, you already did that right there. Good job. So you already have a variable where the number changes, right? So what is that variable? So what happens if you put? So, so you need to do so this was. Well, you have two different names. Oh, you, um, what works? Oh. Yeah. It's wet. Hey, yeah. Yeah. And so, now look at this, see, it's not actually correct. We need to add something to get it to go to the top. So if we add, second, we add like, try adding one right after, no, that's fine. After the presentation. So adding one. Oh, yeah. So we start with the bottom. Okay, so your rotating is good, but if you go to the 80, it's always going to be 8. You want it to be changing, right? The rotation is changing every second. So
have a variable that's constantly changing. Here's line, you just want to try 0, 0, 0. So got this variable right here that's changing from 0 to 360. How could you use that to rotate the line? Right now it's speculative. You want that to be constant. What did you do to make it constant? What you have a variable that's constantly changing. You have a variable that's constantly changing, right? But you cancel that log, goes down there. Constantly changing. How could you use that to your benefit to rotate the line? Yeah. Okay, so we don't actually want to change the position of the line. We want to change the rotation. Because you're not actually rotating the line, you're rotating the full quadrant system. The whole thing is changing. The whole grid is changing, and it's just drawing the line at the same place every time. So you need to rotate, right? And then what is it? That's the question. You want it to constantly change, right? Just put a number in system. You want something that's the main thing is that it starts at the bottom. You want it to start at the top. The second backwards. So if you add 180 right here after the math, and then that add and you're just drawing it off. You don't want, we're not actually rotating the line, we're rotating the entire grid. You still want to just draw it, yeah. There you go. So, notice it's actually the line, it starts on the top, and it goes to the rest of the outside. Okay. Hey, got it. So this is a great start to, you've already basically made two clocks so far. You've made one that cycles through the colors. You've made one that has second hand. So there's all sorts of things you could do. Play with the arc function to do a different kind of hand going around. I mean, you could use images and sound if you wanted to. You could have chimes go off, you know, when the seconds hit, you know, 59, make the sound play or something like that. I want to show you real fast a video by John Maeda. John Maeda comes from the MIT Media Lab, and he's just sort of like the godfather of all this stuff, like generative art and, you know, creating software that is art and experimenting with code. And he made a series of clocks back in 1996. It came on a CD and you had to put it in your CPU. But they're really cool. So just different ways of visualizing a clock. That's pretty cool. We could do that. It's just a matter of rotating back and forth, kind of like you were just doing. This is really cool. It's just a different way of writing the numbers. I don't know how to interpret this one. Oh, I guess that's a 34 right there. That's a 7. That's a 34. You guys could do this. It's just rotation and drawing the numbers on top of each other. This one would be a little more complicated. That's using a life simulation algorithm. This one you guys could totally do. Definitely doable. You can see there's a little box there that is the second hand. We've got a whole bunch of different plots around there. Anyway, I just thought I'd show you that. 1996. Okay, so before we move on to the next thing, I want you to take a moment right now. You got my message about signing up for Space for time slots on Friday. So go to this page right here, Friday individual meetings. And it's gonna take you to this calendar. And just go in there, they're 10 minutes each, you roll over and it tells you the exact time. So just take a moment right now to go sign up for one of those time slots. That's when we'll go over your class schedules.
I actually clicked for the first point, my personal account. About that, so I don't have sure how to swap that.
Wait, what?
Google automatically log into my personal account, so my Gmail, my school account, which it seems to swap every day just to really throw me perfect. So I
Yeah,
signed up for
mine
the one
too.
with my personal one instead of my school. I'm not sure how to.
I don't know if that's gonna be a problem.
Well, my name's not attached to it. So,
Oh, but you're the first one then.
yeah, I can always swap.
Oh,
it.
you're there. I see you, Paul Lewis.
Oh, my name is on.
Yeah, your name's on there. We're good.
I accidentally did something.
I
Should be fine. I saw yours already, so.
had a teacher really angry for that one. That was an accident. I don't like your finger right now. I told you about it.
Okay, cool. All right, we're doing good on time here. Do you need to take a break? No, you okay? All right, we're gonna do something totally different now. I'm gonna teach you concatenation, so we can build this thing right here. So in case you want to use text for your class, you'll know how to do it, and then we're gonna learn how to, because the hour information from P5 comes in military time, so it's 24 hours. So how do you change that to a 12-hour class? So we'll go over how to do that. But basically what concatenation is you heard me talk about strings. So if you have a variable and you put a word inside that variable, between quotes, that's considered a string. So it's a string of characters. It's a type of data. What we can do really useful is we can take two strings and put them together into one string in different ways. So let me go over here. So first I'm going to make the type a lot larger. Text size 60. Okay, so I'm going to make two variables. But I'm going to hello. And the first one, I'm going to make it equivalent to a string, hello. And then I'm going to say let world hello world. Okay, so down here we can see if I console it's giving me hello. So if I wanted to take these two and make an actual sentence, hello world out of it, it's really simple. We're just going to be using the plus sign to combine strings. So instead of just hello, I'm going to say hello plus world. And now it says hello world. All one word. Okay. That's pretty simple, right? You get it, putting two strings together. Let's say we want to add a space in between there. Well, we can actually just add straight characters in there as long as we put them between quotation marks. So I'm going to say hello plus, and then I'm going to give it a space. So I'm going to put a space between quotes and then the word world, and I run that. Now it's hello world with a space in between. And if I wanted to add an exclamation point, I would just do that. And now I get a really chipper hello world. That's concatenation. That's all it is. It's just putting strings together. So what we want to do is we want to print out the time onto the screen in the way you see it in the exercise. So let me get rid of this. So the easiest way to do this, which is not going to turn out to be the best way, is we're going to say text. We're going to say we want the first one to be the hours, hour plus colon plus minute plus, oops, come on. Plus colon plus second. Oh, and I have to tell it where to draw. There we go. Okay. So this is all fine and good, but you're gonna notice a problem right there. Okay. What are we missing there? We're missing a 0 in front of the 1-digit second. So we need to figure out how to concatenate that so that if it's less than 10, then you add a 0 to it. So I'm going to make some variables here. I'm going to say let sec text in text our text. Okay. So here I'm going to say, let's just do the seconds first. If the seconds are less than 10, if the seconds are less than 10, then make sec text equals, and then we're going to concatenate this. We're going to say 0 plus second. Then otherwise else, if it's not less than 10, then just make it the seconds, just normal. Okay, so here I want to replace second with sec text. Oopsie. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, 59. There we go. Okay,
So does that make sense? All I'm doing is I'm saying, if it's less than 10, add a 0 to the second that we're getting. If it's not less than 10, then just make it equal to the second. Okay, so your job is to do this for the minutes and the hours. Wait, no, you wouldn't really do it for the hours, would you? You don't need to do it for the hours. You don't necessarily need a 0. It's 2 o'clock. You don't need to say 0 to, unless you want to. There's something wrong with that. But the next step to this that I want to see if you guys can figure out is how do we change this from a military clock to a 12-hour clock? It's the hours are going to give us 0 to 23. How do we convert that from 0 to 12 and then back to, or 0 to 11 and then back to 0 to 11 again?
so one hint would be all you have to do is you check for if the hour is greater than 12, do what?
So you're going to need you're going to need some more if statements to do the minutes and the hours here. And then you're going to need if statements here to figure out if the hour is 14, for example, what do you have to do to that number to make it 2? Mathematically, what do you have to do to 14? I'll let you figure that out.
And then draw it to the canvas. Okay.
I really wish I could copy it now. Okay.
it over.
So imagine the hour is 14. How do you get 14? If it's 14 o'clock. Military time, it's 2 o'clock now. Right? So what do you have to do to 14? No, because it's gonna be different hours. If it's 15, it's better to work 3. It's a simple math, right? You're probably over. So 14 minus 12. So the hour would be whatever the hour is. Minus 12. And yeah, 54. Yeah. So. Um, yeah, yeah, so if it's over 12, you want to subtract. So if hour is greater than 12, then the hour cut. You're gonna have to replace that with hour cut. But right here is where you need hour cut equal number that you want. You're gonna have to. This one's kind of weird. You do need to make another one like this in a minute. So you can, so here you want to make the hour cut equal the hours and 12. Whatever the hour is, when I did that, so you can't do that. You have to give it something that's not common. So if the hour is 12, 14 minus 12 is 2. 15 minus 12 is 2. So what are you subtracting 12 from?
Yeah, so that was the best right hour.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You gotta put this in. After R. Now you have to use it down here. So instead of hour, just like here, replace second with second text. Here, with hours. Yeah. But you need to add one more thing here. Because what is the hour for? The hour is for this is not this code is not gonna run. So you need to put in else. So Alex has that. Less than 12, then it's just. No, because you don't, if it's 2 o'clock, you don't want it to be 12. If it's 2 o'clock, what do you want our check to say? If it's 2 o'clock, what do you want this to be? Right, 2 o'clock.
Oh, so it's the same number.
Yeah. No, otherwise, it's always 2 o'clock. If it's 3 o'clock, you want this to be 3 o'clock. If it's 4 o'clock, you want that to be 4 o'clock. What do you put here to get the hour? Huh? It's just hours.
Like it's the same exact.
You can't tell right now that it's 11 o'clock, but if you go back to the number tomorrow, then we correct. Now you just need to choose minutes to move that. And set it right here. So that the minutes is correct. So that's the same. 3 seconds. This will like. Yeah. Minutes, less than 10, and then go. Has anyone figured out? Are we just doing hour minus? Yes, that's all it is.
I was serious, don't plug out. It's like.
Because you haven't changed the variables down here, you're still just sitting on second. You need to change it to the variable. You don't need to. Oh, there you go, that's all it is. Yeah. Cool. So it's, pretty simple, really. You're gonna need to use this for the minute. It's the same exact thing. You have to minute. And that's cool. So you just have to find that Jesus. And then make sure you put this one. Here. Over, no, greater than 12. All you have to do is put the hours at that 12, right? 14, or at 2 o'clock, right?
can't see it right now. I mean, you can go into your system and see time. But this should work. But one more step, because if this won't work right now. Because it's not greater than 12, so this line code never ran. So we need to put an else in there. Okay. Otherwise, it's not greater than 12, we just need it. Else. Greater than, say, 12, but it's not. Yeah. If you're done with that, that's what I have for today. Make sure you put your, you get a time slot. And make sure you put your sketches into Canvas so that we can go over them on Friday. Very, very important. And what time is it? Oh, I have to go. I have a meeting. So I'll be there Friday to talk to you. And if you want to go over anything before then, just text me.
The assignment that's still on Friday, you just need any sketch 3 different sketch.
Yeah, just an idea of what you would want a clock, your clock to be. You know, what do you want? Do you want things to move around? Do you want it to look like a regular clock? Do you want it to change colors?
So I don't have to do like here in my sketch.
No. These are totally different. These are just practice,
Yeah,
just to show you what's possible. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's not the main project, it's just a sketch for the
just a
project.
sketch. That's it. Just a sketch. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.